Well, I thought I'd throw a quick video in. We got a storm coming in today, probably gonna last a few days. So, but you want to talk about temperature swings like I've been talking about? The last 2 days have been 87, 90. Now our high today is 60. So the weather swings out here are crazy until summer hits. Then it kind of levels off a little bit. So what I want to talk about today was the SNAP benefits, the EBT cards in this area. You see it a lot, and I think because a lot of people, there's just not a work. If you're not working in a factory, then you have a bunch of kids, pretty much stuck. Um, I watched something last night. If you ever get a chance to YouTube, watch Bill O'Reilly, and he's pretty straightforward with the news. He just tells things like they are. The other news channels, I think, are just so biased one way or another that I just, they hate Trump, this and that. I don't want to get into all that, but I was watching him last night, and he's talking about San Francisco, and there's a section of San Francisco where the drug addicts all hang out. Pretty much anything goes there. The police, for the most part, just stay out of that section because it's so bad, and the state buys them needles so they can use. This is just totally unbelievable. And not only that, he was saying that they also give them money. So they cut them a check and they give them needles to use for their drugs. So if that's really going on, shame on Gavin Newsom. Really, California is my home state. I was born in Bakersfield. The politics out there are something else. But if that's really going on, Gavin Newsom really needs to be thrown out of office. That's just unbelievable. So I go to Sam's yesterday. I pick up like 4 items. Pick up some trash bags, some contractor trash bags, a thing of laundry detergent. I pick up a thing of coffee. $110, when I go through the register and gone. So I pay with cash. If you go to Sam's, you know, but if you have cash, you can only go through the live person. And then if you have your card, you can go through one of the checkers. These people that were in front of me, they were, I think, Middle Eastern or something. The language they were speaking, it sounds Syrian or something. I've never heard it before. They didn't speak no English whatsoever. But they're in line in front of me, and I have 4 items, and I'm hoping they'll let me get in front and go. They don't. So I'm standing there as they unload all these groceries onto the cart. As they go to pay, the woman asked them if they want to apply for a Sam's credit card or Walmart credit card, whatever it was, and they had no idea what she was asking them, and they just kept staring at her and mumbling something in their language, looking at each other, had no idea what she was even talking about, and all they did was hand her the card. When they handed her the card, it's a EBT card. The bill was $876 or something. So they pay it. I know it's EBT because when you get 2 receipts. When people get an EBT, they get 2 receipts. They get the receipt for their groceries, and I think they get a receipt for the balance. I don't know. You can tell every time. I know what it is. I'm sitting here thinking, somebody directed them on how to do that. I don't know. I don't know where they're from. Man, it just was crazy because I've never been able to spend that kind of money on groceries ever. Um, $300 or $400, and that's probably my tops at any time. So I leave Sam's. I stop into Walmart. Um, and when I get to Walmart, there's another couple there. And this guy's got a straw hat, cowboy hat on. He's got, what do you call it, coveralls on. No shirt, hairy chest, big old chunky sucker. Not to say that I'm not chunky. I know I am. And so this dude is about as redneck as you get, and he absolutely stinks like death. Like he's never had a shower. And he's got, I assume, his wife with him, and she's about overweight herself. And I'm not talking about just a little overweight. I'm talking about obese. But they're both moving around. They're in the meat section, and they're just loading up this meat, just like piling on there, brisket, everything, you name it. And I'm sitting here watching them, and then a little bit, not really. It's You cannot not see it, put it that way. I mind my own business generally, but you cannot not see this going on. And they've got another car full of chips and cokes and junk. So I go do my thing, picked up some. I had to pick up some oil and some other junk. By the time I get back to the register, they're ahead of me. They're finishing up whatever they had on there, and she slaps down her SNAP card or EBT card. I know it is because I see the two receipts when it comes out. I don't know what the bill was. It had to be over $600. And both of them look just as healthy as could be. It's other than they don't bathe and they're overweight, but as far as their movements go, I couldn't see anything wrong with them. Whatever. So how or why they're on those benefits is beyond me. It's probably fraudulent. I don't know. I do know for a fact that I'm not against the SNAP benefits or food stamps at the time is what I knew them as in my generation, because my mom had to be on them. So I know there are people out there that need them, and then I also know that it's abused, and I know that for a fact. I think this was in 1981, and my mom was pregnant with her fifth child. My brother was born in '82, my younger brother. So in 1981, I remember it. I think I was 9 years old, and we get a call. I answer the phone. It's a landline. We don't have cell phones back then. I answer the phone, and somebody on there, real nervously, says, "I need to speak to Judy Shelton, please." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "Well, that's my mom. Then go get her." So I go get her, and she says, "What? What? Is he okay? Is he okay? Is he okay?" And she's panicking. So she drops the phone and she calls my grandmother and says that my dad was hurt and that at work, and that she was going to drop us up to watch him while she goes. So come to find out, he was a welder and he was running a cutting torch at a machine shop. And the hose had a leak in it, and the settling gas when he was using the cutting torch ignited and blew up. And when it blew up, it burned him third-degree burns from his stomach all the way up to his chest to his neck. It burned so bad it even burned his nipples off. It was horrible. So, and to come to find out with that, the first shift or second shift supervisor, that was reported that it was leaking the previous shift, and they never tagged it out or did anything. The supervisor had forgotten about it. So when my dad came into work and started using it, it blew up on him and hurt him. So of course they said that they went to courts all this years later, and they said, well, it was his fault because he's supposed to do an inspection and check the hoses, and maybe he was, I don't know, but the company supposed to be liable for that. They didn't want to do anything with it. But anyways, so my dad gets flown to a burn center in Sherman Oaks, California. So we're living in, I believe, Bakersfield at the time. And he goes through probably a good 8 months of skin grafts. They're taking skin off of his legs and they're putting it up here. And, he's down. At that point, we have nothing. I mean, we have nothing. Mom has, 4 kids and fifth one on the way. That was our only support. So the church came by and they gave us some groceries from time to time, whatever. So my mom went down there. She signed up for food stamps, and we got approved pretty quick. I know she still had to go through the process or whatever. And then, back then they gave you a book of stamps. It was like, if it was $100 stack and you'd flip it open, each stamp was $20 worth of food. And then you'd rip it out and you'd hand it to the cashier. It was completely embarrassing for me as a 9-year-old, because we were in line one time paying, and some kids that I went to school with were behind me when my mom was paying for the groceries with the food stamps. The kids, when I got to school, they kind of made fun of me. And they called me Bigfoot. That was my nickname. So they said Bigfoot's poor, his family's poor, without knowing anything or any explanation for it. So that was kind of life-changing for us, because growing up after that, there's a jet coming over. At that point, we have absolutely nothing. Like, we have nothing. We have our clothes, can't afford to buy clothes. my mom, she's always shopping at the Goodwill, and like most of the kids be wearing jeans or whatever. I'm wearing corduroy pants that don't fit me because I was tall anyways. So let me pause this video for a second, let this jet get over. Anyways, like I was saying, so my mom, we had to shop at the Goodwill, wore clothes that we just didn't fit, or we absolutely just had nothing. As my dad's healing too, his nerves are growing back, and he's just in pain all the time, a lot of pain. He's on painkillers, everything they could give him, constantly having to sit down in ointment, had everything wrapped up. It's a pretty bad time in our life. He went through that for 3 or 4 years. And my mom, I don't know how we had gas to put in the vehicle. Couldn't afford any toys, really, nothing. I mean, it ended everything as far as, we went from one day to playing Ataris, the old school Ataris, to riding our tricycles outside. We didn't have anything, nothing. And when my mom got her benefits, they really weren't that much, a few $100s, and she would buy beans and rice and potatoes, and that's what we grew up on. That's literally what we had almost every day. She'd change it up somehow, turn the potatoes into hash browns, eggs, oatmeal, cream of wheat. And that was it. That's what we lived on. So when I see the SNAP benefits today and people getting thousands of dollars, I don't know. Something in the system has changed. I don't know, but yeah, we struggled all the way up. The company finally settled with my dad. They drug it out forever. I think they only gave him like 15,000. Maybe back in 84 or 5, that was a lot of money, but not really, not very. And they paid all the medical bills. So all of his medical was paid, and they cut him a check for like 15 grand. And that's when we moved to a little town called Hartford, Arkansas. My dad took the money. His mom was from there, so took the money, and that's how we ended up out here east. So I guess, I don't know, that I just didn't really understand. Something is just off with the way that the benefits are given. I guess what I'm trying to say too is, like, if you pay attention, the people that are on SNAP benefits will give classes to their either their children or their relatives on how to get SNAP benefits. And you'll see it because my own family does it. I'll be sitting there and, at a gathering or whatever, and, one of them's on SNAP benefits, and they're telling, hey, this is what you do, this is what you got to do, this is what you go through to get them. So, man, I don't know. Something is off with this whole system. I know they're necessary in some cases. I totally get it. My mom was a perfect example of that. We're always waiting in line for the government cheese, and whenever they gave that out, that was a hard time in our lives growing up. Everybody has their story. Some people have it way worse. At least we were able to. My mom we made it. Just fine. It's probably why college and all that was just out of the question. There was just no money for anything. So, which I would like to see college paid for, like public schools are, and maybe the benefits so much, the SNAP benefits kind of cut back a little bit, because, man, they're abusing it. And I see it everywhere. It's not, like yesterday with that couple. I'm not going to single them out because, and you yourself know, you go to a store, you'll see it, and they're buying junk. If they're buying healthy food, you could kind of even maybe justify some of it, but they're just buying junk. And I don't think that should be allowed. I think they're working on it now, but whatever. It's not really what people buy isn't really my business anyway, or my concern, I guess. So, but what I want to say out here, you'll see a lot of people mine with SNAP benefits. A lot of it's just due to work. A lot of it's just because they're learning how to use the system, to live off the system, to live for. And some people don't mind just getting by, sitting at home. I was never geared that way. I was always athletic, always wanting to move, always wanting to go. So I'm in this video here. I think it's about to start raining, and I'm gonna film some scenery around the area, make these videos a little more interesting. I just thought I'd get that off my chest. But for real, Bill O'Reilly, watch that little show on San Francisco. It's kind of crazy, It It really is. Um, when it comes to politics, I don't really like getting into them too much. I consider myself independent. I vote for whoever I think's for the best of the country at the time. So Gavin Newsom is not it. I'm telling you right now. No. He shut down a steel mill out there over environmental issues. Long story. I might even make a video on that. Cost 300 people their jobs, a six-figure job. Now, if you're a manual labor, blue collar worker, you can't find a job like that almost anywhere to replace it. So, um, yeah, I'm a little upset with that. And then with this San Francisco thing, that should just be a nail in his coffin for real. He's letting that go on. So, anyways, thanks for your time. Subscribe to my channel. I'm just going to keep posting, keep going. Maybe I'll make it interesting for you. Tell some stories about the area, see what I see, and I'll film certain sections. So, thanks for your time.